Hey class, welcome back. I hope you guys have had a good week so far. Just want to touch base with you guys on this um, next section that we're about to go over. Tonight for homework, what you'll be doing is the section questions, and you'll also be taking a quiz over these pages. There's a lot of information, I know, but it's going to be pretty good information. So I hope you guys enjoy it. There's a lot to get to, so I want to be quick. I may be cut off, but I'm not going to take super long to go through it. But there is a lot to talk about, and I kind of get excited about it. It's World War One. I mean, why wouldn't you get excited about it? In fact, all of Europe gets excited about it whenever it actually takes place. I want to look at it. We're on page 443. We're talking about the pressing conflict, and conflict has come. Let's get the PowerPoint going. So, um, July 28th, 1914, you need to know this year. Because we already, in the last section, we saw the assassination in June. So exactly 1 month later, we have war, official war. Because the Archduke was assassinated June 28th, 1914. Exactly 1 month later, July 28th, is when Austria declares war on Serbia. What happens in that month is Austria calls up its friend Germany and says, "Hey, listen, Serbia did this thing to us, and we're not really happy about it. So we kind of want to go to war with them. Um, we told them to do these certain things, and we won't go to war. But really, we really want to go to war against Serbia. We're just mad. Um, so would you back us?" And Germany's like, "I got you, no problems. Whatever you do, we got." Because Germany is wanting war as well. I mean, this is Kaiser Wilhelm we're talking about. Like he's ready for war. He's crazy. So he tells Austria, "Yeah, let's go." So Austria declares war on Serbia. Now, your book mentioned that I like the first sentence on 443. It says Austria did not want or expect Serbia to meet its demands. So Austria says, "Listen, Serbia, you got to do these things in order for us not to go to war." And Austria is really hoping Serbia is not going to do it. In fact, Serbia does all of them except one. And that's enough for Austria to say, "Listen, we're going to war." Mainly, they're using the assassination as their main reason for going to war. So they declare war on Serbia. Now, Germany is not the one that starts the war. Notice it's between Austria and Serbia. That's really important to know because we're going to see what happens after the war. You probably already know. But look what happens next. Russia gets involved. 2 days after this, Russia's right there by Serbia's side because when Austria-Hungary was making that phone call with Germany, Serbia is doing the same thing to its allies, which is Russia. So Russia, as soon as war is declared, 2 days later, Russia is mobilizing or moving its troops to help Serbia. Now, Germany gets scared because Germany's always scared of Russia, and they say, "Germany, stop." Or I'm sorry, "Russia, stop." Germany tells Russia, "Stop moving. You can't do this. You shouldn't be doing this." And Russia doesn't stop. So, August 1st, Germany declares war on Russia. Now, the same story goes along with France as well. France is getting ready, and Germany is wanting a for sure answer from France that says, "Listen, we French, we French are not going to fight." They wanted that from France, and France never gave a for sure neutrality answer. So Germany declared war on France. It's like Germany was waiting to declare war. It's really what they were. I'm sorry. So now Germany was just ready for the fight, and they say, "Okay, war is on." So notice Germany was very quick. I want you to know the two sides, and I want you to know who's a part of each side. You have the Central Powers, known as Germany and Austria-Hungary. Those are the two main ones. And then you have the Allies, Russia, Serbia, and France. Notice who is not in the Allies. This is very important. You may see it later. Hint, hint. Who's not on the Allies? Britain. Britain comes in later. England comes in later. So Central Powers against the Allies. You will want to know those countries, all right? I want to make sure I don't go too far. So let's go into Germany's mind. I like the first sentence of the second paragraph on 443. It says, much of Europe greeted the declaration of war joyfully. Joyfully. They were happy. In fact, many people are going to quickly sign up for the war, like, let's go. Um, as the armies go through, people are cheering on the armies. They think it's going to be this quick war, like these past wars have been for most of these countries. And Germany is not afraid with Russia on one side and France on the other. Germany is right in the middle. And Germany is not afraid because they have this plan that's already been created. It's called the Schefflin Plan. This plan was to knock out France first. The idea is Russia's so big and it would take more work for them to get all their stuff ready before they're ready for war. So the idea, this plan, the Schefflin plan says you attack France first. France is west. You attack France first. You get them out of the war. In fact, according to this plan, they could knock them out of the war in 6 weeks. That's a month and a half. So in a month and a half, knock out the French, and by that time, Russia is probably pretty close to fighting a war, and then move all your troops to the east to fight Russia. That was their plan. And honestly, it almost worked for them because Russia in World War One really is struggling in World War One. They have power, they have might. They're going to do a lot of damage to the Germans, but they're not going to be able to stay in the war. And we're going to see why in a little bit. But the Germans were going to go through with this plan, and in order to do this, they were going to sneak through Belgium. Now, the thing about Belgium is there was this 75-year-old treaty that Germany and Belgium had that they were not going to show any act of aggression. They were going to be neutral with each other. Now, 75 years is quite a while, and this was a big feat for them. But Germany didn't even warn Belgium. Germany did nothing with Belgium. Well, warn, I guess, is what you see in point number 3, where they told the Belgians, hey, we're gonna come through. Like you better let us through, and the Belgians reject it. So then Germany faces the fact, do we listen to the treaty and find a different plan, or do we just go with our plan and forget the treaty? And look what the general says. At the bottom of 443, the last paragraph, it says, necessity knows no law. So what is important, what is necessary, is not bound by law. The 75-year-old treaty, it's a piece of paper. Who cares? Because this is necessary. We have to do this. So Germany goes through Belgium and really catches France off guard. Now, England is not going to be happy with Germany for breaking this, and this is the reason why England comes in the war. This was the last straw. They were already upset at Germany. They hadn't declared war, but after this aggression, Britain says, no, Germany, you got to be stopped. That's too far. So they declare war on Germany. Now, Germany goes really far. In fact, they're just a few miles outside of Paris within a month. So their plan looks like it's working, but they get stopped at the Battle of. Whoa, what is this German here? Germans at the. I should say the. I have no idea where that came from. But they are going to stop the Germans at the Marne River. And this is going to slow down the German attack. They're going to go a little further. They're going to get into France, closer to Paris. But the Marne River is going to be really the slowing down point for the Germans. And now we dig in. Now we have trench warfare, which is grueling. Like to hear accounts in your activity book, if you have that, which sure we all do. Don't worry, you don't have homework from that. But there's actually an account in the activity book of real life examples of historical accounts of soldiers in the trenches, and to read their experiences is horrible. I mean, just look at the trench. You're in this trench. Imagine the running water off. Imagine the disease. You have wounded men in the trenches. It's cold at night. These are not good conditions. And one, just imagine digging the trenches, and then this is not just a nice fence that's there. This is barbed wire coming up to the trench. Now, this land in the middle, what this was called was no man's land that no one owned. Notice the other side would be the other set of trenches, and they both dig in, and the trenches face each other. The land in the middle was no man's land. So these guys are going over the top of the trenches over to the other trench. They got to cross no man's land. Now, if they make it over, which was a feat for itself, then they have to deal with the barbed wire that's on the other side. These are British, you can tell by the helmets. But the the Germans would have barbed wire as well. Now, what the British are going to come up with later, a secret weapon, is going to not be bothered by barbed wire. In fact, they could just roll right over the trenches. We're going to see that later. But let's talk about the German um, advancement in the west. They're going to put the Russians at bay. Now, it's going to be pretty quick fighting. The Russians were able to mobilize faster than the Germans were expecting. But von Hindenburg is going to put a stop, and he's going to capture several thousand Russians. And it looks like a close call for Germany, but because of von Hindenburg, they're able to not worry about the east as much, and they're going to try and focus on the west. Now, going back to the trench warfare, the British are going to try their advancement at the Somme River, and your book gives some pretty staggering statistics on page 445. Above the paragraph of Italy joins, above that you can see the statistics. It says in 1916, for example, the British conducted an offensive along the Somme River in France. About 4 months of fighting. 4 months. The Allies gained 125 miles, which you may say 125 is a lot, but if you're fighting for 4 months, that's very small. For 4 months of mud, these were not good conditions at all. And they lost 600,000 men for 125 miles. And this is going to be the story throughout the trenches of France, that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of men are going to die for very small amounts of land. So as soon as the Germans stop their invasion from Belgium, they both dig in, and they're trying to take over this no man's land and get land, but it's very little. In fact, the Germans can never get past Verdun. The map on 444 is pretty humorous, the very last one on the bottom. Um, if you don't have your book, the map on the bottom, you see Verdun. You see the German advancement kind of comes down, and then it does like this loop because of Verdun, and the Germans were never able to get through Verdun. I do want you to notice the picture on the bottom. This one you know is Germans because of their helmets. Notice their helmets have the little point on top. That was the German helmet style, whereas we saw the British helmet style looked like a bowl on top of the head. Kind of interesting. Um, but it ended up being, with the trench warfare, became a war of attrition. Attrition means we're just gonna knock each other as weak as possible and just wear each other down. It's pretty much like boxing. Boxing is attrition, right? How do you win boxing? You beat the other person up. Like the way boxing used to be, you may have heard the expression toe the line, was there was this line, one guy would stand on one side, the other would stand on the other, and you would just beat at each other and just wear each other down. And the first one to give up was the loser. That's essentially what attrition is we dug in these lines and we're just gonna beat each other up to see who gives up first. Not necessarily taking land, which that's what the wars are going to be after, and what some of the wars were before, but this one is just attrition. Just beat each other up, see who can last the longest. Well, Italy is kind of funny. Italy's kind of standing off to the side watching what's going on, and they were neutral. Now, they were technically on the German side. They were in the alliance with Austria-Hungary and Germany. But Italy says, listen, Germany, Austria-Hungary, you are taking this on the offensive. You're not playing defense. You're really using this war as an offensive measure. So we're not going to join you guys. So Italy was technically on their team, but they're not fighting. They're not contributing as much as they should have, I guess, if they're on the same team.